One of the problems that we presently have in our Industrial Insurance Act system, meaning our workers' compensation system here in the state of Washington, is that injured workers are having a really hard time finding somebody who will treat them. And one of the reasons they have a hard time is that the list of providers on the Department of Labor and Industries list is much smaller than the list of licensed physicians maintained by the Department of Health. There needs to be a change to our Industrial Insurance Act so that any licensed physician within the scope of their licensure can treat an injured worker. It should just be assumed if you're an MD, you're a DO, you're any kind of a physician, and you are licensed properly by the Department of Health, there's no good reason why you can't also examine, treat, care for injured workers. The problem is especially acute as soon as you get outside of the state. And so what happens is injured workers that have come into the state temporarily, they've transferred in from some other state, and then they go back to their home state like Alabama or Michigan or Maine. They still, in Alabama, Michigan, or Maine, have to find an L&I approved medical provider. Many of them can't. Many of them get basically held out of our workers' compensation system because they can't find a local provider that the state of Washington, and specifically the Department of Labor and Industries, has approved of. And it's insane. So the only two requirements that should be are that you agree to follow the rules of the department and accept, for example, the department's fee schedule, and you're licensed wherever it is that you're practicing, and you're operating within that licensure when you're seeing the injured worker from Washington. We need to make this change because too often we have injured workers who can't get care, and it creates a tremendous injustice. Care is delayed for so long that by the time they finally either come back to Washington for specific doctors, or they do finally find somebody who is willing to go through the process of enrolling in Washington even though they live in another state, the process is so long that sometimes their disabilities, their impairments have been left untreated for so long, they'll just never get better. If we delay treatment, we delay the ability to get back to work, we increase the probability that injured workers will be the long-time charge of our system. And the Department of Labor and Industries is doing this consistently, constantly. If you ask injured workers if somebody would just dare take a poll of 120,000 injured workers that get injured every year in this state, if you take a poll and ask how many of them had problems finding a provider who would care for them, you're going to find it's around 70 to 80%. That is disgusting. The state legislature needs to act. There's no excuse for not acting. The system needs to be reformed, and it needs to be reformed right now.